1 year ago, we finished transforming this 1973 Airstream Safari into our tiny house on wheels. When we bought it, it was in desperate need of attention, or it would be destined for the scrapyard. We spent a total of 14 months working on it non-stop to transform it from a crusty, musty, rusty mess into what you see today. Over the last year of living in it full-time, we've made some changes, had some things break, and discovered some things that we want to change to make our life living in 150 square feet more comfortable. In this video, we go through all of our work and our honest thoughts about living in it, but first, I'm gonna show you a really quick tour of the living room area. Right by the door, we have storage for our shoes, we have a random junk drawer, our Starlink routers here, our Blue Eddy portable power station lives here. We have 2 Lagoon mount swivel tables. These work fine. The tables themselves are just 1/2-inch plywood. This was gonna be just temporary, and it kind of turned into a permanent temporary setup. At some point, we'd like to replace with a different table mechanism altogether, because when we have both of these tables set up, it's pretty hard for us both to get in or out when we're doing stuff on the table, like working or eating or just hanging out. This is where we actually keep Starlink when we're not using it, but when we are, it's our computer and miscellaneous storage. Underneath, we have our 12-volt chest freezer. This is actually an improved design from our first one. We had it originally on drawer slides, but it was too heavy and then it broke. It's a nice dual zone Aspen 40 from Bouge RV. I really like having it. Megan's not a huge fan, but I think we're able to store a lot more food and go to the grocery store less often. Fits in here and it slides in and out relatively easily. And underneath all these benches, we have lots of storage for other things. This is where Megan keeps her clothes. And we've just got like paper towels and other random things. It's just extra storage. Now I'm just blasting through this tour here. We do have a longer full version tour on our channel. Check it out in the description below. I really like the layout that we built, but I think there are many things that can be improved upon. The number one is our cushions. We bought outdoor cushions for our couch area. We figured because this is an RV and we spend so much time outside, we're gonna be tracking in dirt, sand, whatever, you name it. So we thought outdoor cushions would be a good option. It turns out outdoor cushions don't really hold up well for full-time use, and they've lost a lot of their structure, and it's pretty uncomfortable sitting on these little benches for a long time. These are just foam, and they're just on top of plywood benches. So I think a solution for this problem is gonna be replacing these with something of higher quality and a different textured material. Because if you've ever sat on outdoor furniture, you know it's a little scratchy and not the most comfortable. This couch area has no backing, so the cushions are just stuffed between the wall and the back of the couch. So it gets pretty uncomfortable not being able to really lean back unless we use a blanket or a pillow. So that's something that could be improved on, but the way we designed it, I don't think that would be an easy fix. Also, our table setup. This is the Lagoon swivel mount, and I'd say that it works fine. We'd like to be able to go from having 2 separate tables to maybe one larger table that's more accessible for both of us. So that's something we need to figure out and that we're gonna work on in the future. Also, these tables are just 1/2-inch plywood, and it started off as a temporary solution that we said we were gonna replace the tables right away, real soon. And then we just never did. These are just little 1/2-inch pieces of plywood, and it gets the job done, but it's not the nicest looking thing. We built this whole bench area that it could turn into about a full-size daybed, but during the year of living in here, we actually removed that whole functionality, and now it's just regular bench storage underneath. We switched it out for 2 reasons. The first is that some of the slats broke, so the second was we realized our tongue weight in our trailer was too high for our tow vehicle, so getting rid of the functionality of the daybed was a sacrifice we made to cut down on tongue weight. The last thing up front, which has been by far one of the most useful things in this entire Airstream, is our diesel heater. We have a externally mounted diesel tank up front, and this is the S-Bar 4 kW diesel heater. It does a really good job of keeping our Airstream nice and warm. This is where we can monitor and set the timer, set the temperature, and do all the controls right from here. If there's one thing I wish I could change, is that I'd put this actually closer to the bed, but this is kind of where the wiring harness naturally ended up going, and it just worked out that this was a good control panel for our water pump, lights, and another outlet. One thing that was an unexpected addition that we really love is our Green Pan 5-in-1 oven combo. We get a ton of use out of it. We didn't originally plan to include any type of oven in the Airstream, but then when we realized it would fit on top of this counter and we had a plug right there, it just made sense. We've been absolutely ripping frozen Costco pizza. Pizza. And I love it. When using any electrical appliance that heats things, it draws a lot of power. I believe this draws up to 1800 watts when heating on high. Our induction is also another high wattage appliance, as is our hot water heater and our Instant Pot. Those are the things we use the most frequently. And because we have a 3000 watt inverter, we can't use all of those at the same time. So even though our inverter is rated up to 3000 watts, it really cuts out at about 2400 watts for protection. To be able to use more of these appliances at the same time, we keep a portable power station with us at all times, which brings me to this video's sponsor, Bluetti. I want to thank this video's sponsor, Bluetti. This is the Bluetti Elite 200 V2, and it's the largest power station I've ever used. Right out of the box, it comes with a 120 volt charger and solar panel connectors. Solar panels are sold separately, but it also comes with warranty information and a user manual. Having a portable power station is never a bad idea, and I'm really excited to test this one out. It is a bit on the heavier side, weighing in at 53 pounds, but it's still portable, and they've reinforced the unit with the dual layer shock absorbing shell. So you know this thing is sturdy. This Bluetti Elite 200 V2 actually has so much power and capacity that we can charge our entire Airstream off of it. No need for a noisy, smelly generator. When we went camping at the beach over the summer, our campsite was shaded and we needed extra power to run our AC and induction stove. The campsite we were at didn't have hookups and they didn't allow generators, so this Elite 200 V2 would have solved that problem. It's pretty cold out here, so I'm going to go back inside and show you some of the other functionalities of this Bluetti Elite 200 V2. This is a 2 kilowatt hour portable power station. This can power a lot of things, up to 2800 watts total, 2600 watts on the AC side and 200 watts on the DC side. And this thing can charge super fast, from 0 to 100% in 1.4 hours when connected to 120 volt AC outlets. If we're looking at the front, it has an on button right in the middle, which turns on the display screen, which you can see the total battery percentage, the total amount of time remaining at the current level, the AC inputs, the AC outputs, the DC inputs, and the DC outputs. This is where you can charge via DC like a car charger or up to 1000 watts of solar. This is your standard 12 volt 10 amp cigarette outlet. This has two 100 watt USB-C outlets and two 15 watt USB-A outlets. On the AC side, it's got four 120 volt AC outlets, can output up to a total of 2600 watts, which is just enough power to power just about anything in a house. Instant pots, blenders, induction cooktops, even this oven behind me can all be powered from this one device. Last night we tested it out to make some rice for dinner.
So for the 12 minutes I had this on, it only took 9% of the battery, and it really was only pulling the 1000 watts during the heating period and then pulled a little bit more as time went on. I'd say that's pretty efficient. So we can make 10 full-size pots of rice without having to charge.
The DC outlets can power up to 200 watts at a time, and they can even power a MacBook Pro without having to use the AC power. Not having to convert from DC power to AC power and back to DC power to charge a computer is very efficient. Using a power station like this is way easier than building your own system like I did. Overall, I think this unit is very robust and powerful, and it's the largest capacity power station I've ever used, and I can't wait to see how it improves our life in the coming months.
One change that's actually on my bucket list is getting rid of this counter that comes into the space a little bit and turning it this way. For us to do that, we would have to cut into the L-shaped bench, which I would be okay with, but I know Matt really wants to keep that full couch that I fought for when we were building this thing. But I do think that having this a little far out cuts the living space a little bit. So if we can just turn this, bring it closer to the wall, we would have more open space here, and then we can come up with a table setup that makes a little bit more sense than these lagoons. Based on how we built this entire area, it would require so much planning and to bring a lot of our tools back out to make this big change, but the functionality would be 100 times better. It's on the list of possible to-dos.
Moving along to my favorite part of this entire Airstream build is our tiny wood stove. This is a dwarf 3 kilowatt stove. It's awesome, and I love this thing. We got the rear mounted one specifically so we could cook on top of it. It provides so much warmth. It has its pros and cons though, which we're going to get into in a future video. It's been great for the cold months and completely useless in the summer. When we originally built this whole hearth and storage underneath, it was all wood stove. We had kindling and wood storage underneath. Since then, it's actually become a food pantry and more seasoning holders. So now that we're parked up for the winter, I actually built us a wood shed outside, and we have to just bring in wood and it stays on here and it gets a little cluttered. Storage is definitely something that we can improve upon. Overall, we can't beat the warmth that this thing gives off. There's so much I could talk about the stove that we're actually going to make a dedicated video to talk about the pros and cons and a full review after a full year of using it. So we're gonna get that video out after the holidays, so be sure to subscribe if you're interested in that.
Just chiming in, I'm not sure we would like the wood stove as much if we weren't able to cook on it, so do with that as you will.
And since I'm down here, I might as well talk about our floors. These did not hold up. We used LVP flooring, and because we go through so many temperature fluctuations throughout the year, and this is a rolling mobile home, the floor buckled. We made sure that we followed the installation instructions and leave the gaps on the sides, but there's nothing we can do here. This is completely buckled up. This piece separated a little bit, and then over here, it actually has a complete crack almost across the entire way. I think this one happened because our subfloor is epoxied at the butt joint right here, and it's not perfectly flat, and because this is the most trafficked area probably in our Airstream, I think over time just crack. So that's something that hasn't held up, and at some point we're gonna have to redo the floors. But for now, we're just gonna cover it up and pretend like it's not there.
A lot of RVs just have this really thin carpet laying down, and it'll help in the winter to make sure our feet aren't so cold and we won't have to worry about installing flooring. I just think it might be a better idea. I don't know. One of the major pain points in this Airstream is our storage situation. We originally wanted to put a wardrobe in, but we just ran out of space. But we were able to put in a pantry, and we do love how it came out. As far as the pantry storage goes, I wouldn't really change a thing. I'd always love more pantry space. Right now I'm going to show you our wet bath, which has changed a lot since we first finished the Airstream. As you can see, we have a privacy curtain, and that was a new addition within the last few months. Originally, we didn't have the privacy curtain. We just used this Nautilus door. Originally, we had the Cuddy toilet. We absolutely hated it. We since replaced it with the OGO composting toilet, and it just doesn't fit properly. And our door doesn't close, hence the privacy curtain. But as far as the toilet goes, this is the best composting toilet that we have ever had, and we've had 3. We had the Nature's Head in our van a few years back, and we liked it, but we had a lot of problems with it. Then when we built the Airstream, we got the Cuddy composting toilet. Absolutely do not recommend that you get that one, but we do recommend the OGO composting toilet. We think it's one of the better experiences out there for composting toilets, especially on the emptying and cleaning side. One of the reasons why the Cuddy did not work out is because it wasn't externally ventilated. We can externally ventilate into the space as of now, but what we want to do in the future is externally ventilate outside. So that would require drilling a hole and running a tube to the outside so that the air that comes out of the toilet can go directly outside instead of just in the space. The vent for the OGO composting toilet is a carbon filter, so it keeps the smells down, which is really nice. Thankfully, we do have a window that can open in our bathroom. With that said, our bathroom situation is not ideal. We made some mistakes on the custom shower pan, which we built from scratch using composite board, epoxy, and fiberglass. We didn't build a big enough slope to get enough drainage on its own, so we do have to squeegee and clean the entire shower every time we shower. That's kind of a blessing in disguise because it just forces you to clean every single day. Right now, we have access to a shower, so we haven't been showering every day in here, and it's kind of getting gross in there. One of the other mistakes that I made was using the wrong type of caulk around the edge of our shower pan. I used a white silicone, and it just immediately started catching every single piece of dirt, grime, and started to discolor immediately. What you're seeing now is a year into using the shower, but I was starting to see discoloration almost immediately. Something that we need to do is pry up all of this caulk and replace it with something better. And something we'll need to do in the future is redo the entire shower pan so that it can drain properly. Otherwise, the size of this wet bath is really great for both me and Matt, and we're going to show you what the process looks like when we have to set up for a shower. It's a little cumbersome because we have to take everything out.
Then we have to vacuum the floor to make sure we don't have any dust and crap that's going to go into our gray water tank. And then we can shower. I'm 5'10" and I have plenty of room to shower, shave my head, get all the pits and bits and everything. Because it's an RV and we have a 45-gallon freshwater tank, we pretty much just take military-style showers where we rinse, lather up, and then rinse off. So the water's just not just continuously running. We did build a city water connection, but we've actually never had full hookups at any place we've ever stayed. So we just usually refill our water tank with jugs or a hose. We have a detachable shower head, which this works really great. It's the Brondell. Yeah, and it just works really nice. Should I turn it on and splash you?
No.
Okay. As far as things that we need to work on in the Airstream, the bathroom is by far the one that requires the most work. We might need to replace the Nautilus door entirely with something different, but that's something we'll figure out and we'll probably do come springtime when it's a little warmer out.
The next part that we're going to show you is our sleeping arrangement. One thing that is difficult for me that is not even on Matt's radar is that I have to hop into bed because I'm 4'11". And this is about as high as our countertop. So if I were to be able to make changes, then I would make our bed a little lower. But I really wanted this specific bed. It's the Dream Cloud. And we needed to have the bed at a certain height because we needed to fit the water heater and our electrical system underneath. But as far as the bed goes, I think this is such a cozy back area. It's like sleeping in a womb, I love to say. One thing that I am not a huge fan of is our warm lights. I just think that I would prefer cooler lights and I would love to replace these. I do think it just makes me look really orange, especially on camera. One thing that we really need to put on the top of our list is our clothing storage. One of the benches in the front is all of my daily clothes and everything else is back here. Around this curve is our clothing storage. It really just becomes a mess back here. There's no cover on top of it, so I think that is something that we can do to just keep it a little bit more organized back here. Every RVer knows that condensation is always an issue, so having our clothes just packed back here, especially during the wet season, is really not great because you don't want damp clothes. You don't want to harbor any mold or mildew in your clothing. We live in a 23-foot Airstream, so we're making it work with what we have, but we do need to come up with a better solution.
Let's talk about a sort of technical and niche thing that RVers have to make a decision about when they're building their rigs. And it's what to put on the roof, because there's only so much real estate on the roof. You want to have an air conditioner, you want to have fans, a skylight's nice to have. But I think our combination of 2 fans on either end of the Airstream, a skylight, and the AC was by far the best decision. I would say the sneaky undefeated hero in this entire Airstream is actually the skylight. I was kind of giving it some crap the other day to Megan, but then she said, if we didn't have it, it'd be so dark in here. And it's true, because this is the only light that gets in from the top, is just from this little skylight. And you know, we can make it a little brighter in here. Our 12-volt air conditioner worked so well right up until the moment that it stopped working. We were dealing with heat waves all summer and it kept it comfortable in here, but then randomly one day, thankfully right at the end of summer, it just stopped working. But they sent us a new controller, but I don't need to figure out the air conditioner when we need to stay warm. So come springtime, I will just fix it then. But for now, it doesn't work. But it's okay because it's like 27 degrees out right now. The garage organization is terrible.
It's terrible.
The only access that we have is right here. You're seeing it. So to get anything out, we need to crawl. To get anything out, I need to crawl. It goes pretty far back. It goes back to the back window and then loops around to the side. It can store a lot of things. It's just the ease of access to the things is not always convenient. Originally, our thought was to install gas struts so where we can lift up the bed, but we bought the wrong gas struts twice and couldn't get the installation to work properly, so we just kind of scrapped that whole idea in general. But it is something that I'd love to figure out to make getting in and out from underneath the bed way simpler.
They have to know how annoying it is.
Well, we got our...
We should have used stronger wood to build the bed frame, and we didn't.
We were trying to save weight.
If we ever need to access the electrical system underneath, this is how we have to lift the bed.
Is it here?
It has to be this position.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't done this in so long. Oh, I didn't, hold on. Remove it?
Okay.
I forgot to.
Oh, remember you have to lift the mattress up and then you have to lift higher.
Alright, you got both sides?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So here we have our electrical system and everything. And honestly, let me just take a little look. And honestly, everything looks pretty good. You know, nothing out of order there. But here we have all of our full load of laundry, Our water heater's there, our gray tank vents over there. Okay, ready? Yep. Lift. Go.
Teamwork. So that's one of the more annoying things about living in 150 square feet. You kind of have to move things to get things. The more you have to move to get things, the more annoying it is to get things. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If we were to do this again, there's one thing that I would prefer, and that is some sort of wall divider between the bedroom and the rest of the Airstream. As an alternative, we will pull this privacy curtain and create a room divider if one of us wants to go to bed early or stay up late, and vice versa. This is not ideal. I would very much prefer some sort of room separator, but I don't think that's something we can really add in. We love our kitchen so much, and truthfully, there's not much we would change about it. We designed it perfectly for our needs. We love how big our sink is. We have our drinking water right here, and that runs through our water drop filtration system. There's enough counter space between the sink and our induction stove, and there's plenty of space back here to keep some of our more used items. Just the addition of adding the basket, the magnet, and the hooks keeps everything off of the counters as much as possible, so I think we did a good job there. And our spice rack is one of my favorite things that we built. The one thing that didn't really hold up well is the caulking in the back here. It separated from the wall during one of those really colder days last winter, so I'll have to recaulk that once spring comes back around, because if it happened over the winter, I'm not going to get to it during this winter. The caulk that we used was Sikaflex, and it adheres to aluminum, which is what our walls are made of. When I first applied it, it was nice and white. It matched the walls perfectly, but over time they started to take on a more yellow color, so we're gonna have to paint that caulk to make it look a little bit nicer and more seamless. I love how we designed our entire kitchen. I really love our Thinscape by Wilsonart composite countertop. It looks like marble. It's really durable and super thin compared to butcher's block. And butcher's block, we had such an issue with it when we were in the van that I wanted to do something that was much less likely to crack. The one thing I'm not a huge fan of is cooking on induction. We are cooking constantly, and I don't love the way that the induction stove cooks. I don't think it distributes heat evenly onto my cast iron, and it draws so much power from our electrical system, especially if we're making 3 to 6 meals a day. We have a pretty beefy electrical system. We have 800 amp hours of lithium battery and 800 watts of solar charging those batteries at any given moment. But if we have multiple cloudy days in a row, we do have to set up the propane system outside, which includes just a small propane tank and our camping stove. This is also one of the appliances that we can't run while we're running other appliances. So if we want the Instant Pot running while we are cooking on the induction, we have to use our Bluetti. We're really happy to have a portable power station because it cuts down on cooking time a lot. Truthfully, I still see the benefit of not bringing propane into our RV altogether, so I will just live with the induction, and I can also cook on the wood stove or any of our other appliances. Lastly, it's just something that's more annoying. This freezer fridge door just breaks, and we got a replacement, and that breaks. These RV fridges, they gather so much condensation around the freezer and it ices over, and then once this gets stuck and you force it a little bit, these little tabs just break off. For now, we're just gonna leave it broken. This is an Isotherm Cruise Elegance 130 liter. We can keep a week's worth of food in here, but we do like to supplement with that chest freezer. But if I were to do this all again, I would try to make it work so that we get a full-size RV fridge. I think overall, we give ourselves a B+.
We built this travel trailer with the intention of full-time traveling in mind, but over the last year, we've only moved 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
It's really not been the full-time travel lifestyle that we originally anticipated. And the main reason for that is we haven't really been able to figure out a proper tow vehicle that's within our budget.
And that's the reason why we don't have as much storage as we need, and things are built in a way that aren't optimized for us right now. It's because this Airstream was designed specifically for full-time travel, and now it's just full-time stationary living. There are a few reasons why we're deciding not to go the full-time travel route. We really want to save up for a house. The second thing is we are just having such a hard time with our tow vehicle. We got the truck, and if you guys have been watching, it's not been going well. We're currently still waiting for some answers on what we can do to get it drivable again. And so it gives us time to kind of just think about what our lifestyle is going to be now that it's more stationary and less travel centric. Coming soon on this channel, we're going to be documenting some of the upgrades that we're going to be doing to the Airstream to make it more optimized for stationary living. And then when we get our house, we'd love to rent it out for all of you. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want a full in-depth tour, we do have one on our channel. We'll link it down below. Otherwise, we hope you have a great holiday season.
See you in the next one.